Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. I'm so glad that you are here today for us to talk about how I did in 2024 with series and what I'm hoping for or planning for in 2025. I have my lovely series spreadsheet in front of me and I'm going to be using that to look at. I will pop up pictures. I was going to try to go through my shelves and pull out books, but that would be even more work than popping in a picture and it would be a mess to clean up later. So I'm just going to use pictures today to talk about these series, but I wanted to start with some overall stats of what I did with series in 2024. Where do things stand right now as we're closing out this year? I'm pretty pleased, honestly, with this progress. So as of right now, beginning of December 2024, I have a total of 69 series listed on my spreadsheet. It will be less than that by the end of the video because I'm going to take off series that I've DNF'd and series that I've finished this year so that I can have a number at the end of this video of active series going into 2025. That is the goal. So we're going to start with some stats. Like I said, in 2024, I read 50 books that were in series, whether that was a start of a series or in the middle or at the end. I read 50 books that were a part of series, and I'm pretty pleased with that. My number is like 150, 160 something total right now. I don't even know. I haven't looked at Goodreads in a while. So maybe a third of my reading this year, almost a third of my reading was series books. That's incredible. Unfortunately, a lot of those are starts, but that's okay too. That's okay. I did start 25. Half of the ones that I've read this year were a start of a series, 25 of them. That's crazy. I'm also excited that I read 9 books in series that ended up completing series. So I have 9 series that are now complete, which is amazing. 32 that are still in progress. 5 where I'm kind of caught up but waiting for the next book and I know that it's coming. And 8 listed as want to start. Like I have books of these series on my shelves and I would like to start them. Whether that will happen in 2025 or not, we shall see. And then I have 14 series that I'm going to DNF. I decided I don't want to read anymore. So let's start with my DNFs. I have, like I said, 14 series that I'm going to DNF. The first 3 of which are cozy mystery series. Cozy mystery series are famous for having lots and lots and lots and lots of books. And I read 3 books that were the first in Cozy Mystery series that I just don't think at all that I have any plans of continuing. So I'm going to go ahead and take them right off the list. But that is the Seaside Cafe series, which was Live and Let Chai. The Magical Bookshop series, which first one was Crime and Poetry. And the third one was Lending a Paw, which is part of the Bookmobile Cat mystery series. So those 3 I'm DNFing. I'm not continuing with those cozy series. Those were easy DNFs for me. I did read 3 more books in the manga series Spy Family this year by Tatsuya Endo. I got up to 7 and there are 12 now, maybe 13. I really enjoyed it at the very beginning and just decided it's not really for me anymore. I am going to DNF that one. Quite a few of these are middle grade, but one that's not a middle grade is The Power of One, which I read for Battle of the Booktubers. That has a sequel or companion, I'm not exactly sure, called Tandia, and I have no desire because Power of One was not a favorite of mine. So that's a series that I'm going to DNF. Now, a book that I actually did DNF while I was reading it is Meg and Joe by Julia Cantrell, maybe. But I DNF'd Meg and Joe, so I also unhauled Beth and Amy, which was on my shelves. As for the middle grades, 2 of them were Newbery Award winners, Ginger Pie and Dead End and Norvelt. Both of those have a sequel, and I'm not planning on reading the sequel at all. Show Me a Sign is the next one. This is by Anne Claire Lizotte, and I really enjoyed Show Me a Sign. The main character is deaf, and I thought that it was really well done, but it has 2 sequels, Set Me Free and Sail Me Away Home, that I just really don't have any desire to continue. I'm sure they're probably lovely, but I feel like Show Me a Sign didn't end on a cliffhanger, and I'm fine with just reading that first book. As well as Orphans of the Tide, which was one of my NetGalley books. This is by Struan Murray. It was a fantastical middle grade, and it has 2 sequels, Shipwreck Island and Eternity Engine, and I'm not going to read either of those either. A middle grade series where I've read 2 of them, Al Capone Does My Shirts, which I loved, and then Al Capone Shines My Shoes, which was just okay for me. I decided I'm just not going to continue. I feel like it's probably going to just go downhill from there because I really loved the first one so much. So that's a DNF series. A middle grade that I read last year or 2 years ago is Bronte Metalstone by Jacqueline Moriarty. I think the title is actually longer than that. It was whimsical and a lot of fun. I've never felt the urge to continue with the series. There are 4 more in that series, and I think that I'm okay not reading it. Maybe someday I'll come back to them, but as of right now, I'm taking them off my series list. They are not a priority. They are not on my radar right now at all. 2 more DNFs. The first one is A Wrinkle in Time. There are 4 others in that quintet series. I don't have a very positive memory of A Wrinkle in Time. It was okay. I thought it was very strange. I just don't think I'm going to continue. So Wind in the Door, Swiftly Tilting Planet, Many Waters, and Acceptable Time. I am taking off of the pile. And the final series I'm going to DNF is Poison Study, the Study series by Maria V. Schneider. There is Magic Study, Fire Study, Shadow Study, Night Study, Dawn Study, but I'm not going to read them. I read Poison Study this year and I enjoyed it, but it's a YA series that was very, very popular a number of years ago. I just don't feel the urge to continue. So taking those DNFs off, let's see, I'm just going to delete them right off my spreadsheet. Delete. Now my total is down to 55. That's exciting. I love seeing them go away. So to make it even smaller, we're going to talk next about the series where I finished them this year. I read the final book in the series and I'm very excited, but that means they can come off of my list. So the first one is the Track series by Jason Reynolds, Ghost, Patina, Sunny, and Lou. I read all 4 of them this year. Who even am I? Binging a series? I think I read Ghost in February, and then Patina, Sunny, and Lou I read all in middle grade March this year. So that's fabulous. Another cozy mystery series that I read all of, and I don't know if there's going to be more. If there are, I probably won't read it because these were just okay for me. Anne Claire's Christie Bookshop mystery. The first one is Dead in Gondola, and then Last Word to the Wise. They were cute and they were fun, but ultimately unremarkable to me. But a series that I absolutely loved and finished this year is the One and Only series by Catherine Applegate. I read The One and Only Ivan and The One and Only Bob previously, but this year I also read The One and Only Ruby and then just recently The One and Only Family. And it's a lovely, lovely, lovely series. I also finished the Beartown series by Frederick Bachman. Beartown and Us Against You I read a while ago, and The Winners this year I finished and loved. And it had been a while since I read the previous ones, but thankfully there was enough at the beginning of The Winners that kind of refreshed my memory, so I didn't need to go back and restart the series. I could just read Winners, finish it up, take it off my list. I recently read And So I Roar by Abi Dare, which is the sequel to Girl with a Louding Voice, and it was fantastic. It's a literary fiction set in Nigeria about the plight of women ultimately, and then we follow Aduni and Tia in this one, and it was just, oh my word, really good. Really, really good. I loved it. Another duology that I completely finished this year was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross and the sequel Ruthless Vows. I just read those this fall because I had to read Divine Rivals for Battle of the Booktubers and I loved it. And Divine Rivals kind of ended on enough of a cliffhanger that I just needed to dive right into Ruthless Vows to see how it was all going to play out. So I'm really proud of myself for completing that little series. Another middle grade series that I finished is the Wild Robot series by Peter Brown. I read Wild Robot Protects just a couple weeks ago. I had read Wild Robot and Wild Robot Escapes years ago, and so it was nice to finish up that series. A romance series that I am caught up with. I don't know if there will be more, but I'm counting it as done. If another one comes out, I can always add it back on. But I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which is the 3rd book in the Part of Your World trilogy of companion novels. So there's Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer. So I read Just for the Summer this year, really enjoyed that. And finally, a graphic novel trilogy that I completed this year is the Lightfall series by Tim Probert. I actually am pretty sure there's going to be more in this series because The Dark Times doesn't end. Maybe I'll leave that one on here because if there is another one, I will read it. So I'll leave that one on for now and do my homework a little later. The Dark Times is the 3rd one, and I read that this year. Girl in the Galdurian was the 1st one. Shadow of the Bird was the 2nd one. It's a fun fantasy, middle grade graphic novel series. I'm taking off 8. I'll leave the Lightfall one on there. Delete selected rows. Bye. Oh my word, it's so fun. So now I am down to 47. 47 active series. I love seeing that number go down. My next category is in process. So here's the active series that I'm reading. I own the next book for the majority of these, but there are one or more books out that I can read. These are categorized by the ones that have one more, and then two more, and then three more, four more, all the way up to 14. What? Okay, so the ones that have just one more, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. The Maid series by Nita Prose. I read The Maid and The Mystery Guest this year. I have Mistletoe Mystery ready to go. And then another one is coming out in 2025, The Maid's Secret. But it's in process because Mistletoe Mystery, even though it's a novella, it's out, it's published, and I have it here on my shelves. Then we have the Frostheart series. It's a middle grade series by Jamie Littler. I really enjoyed Frostheart and Escape from Aurora, so I need to read Rise of the World Eater. Another trilogy, but make it historical fiction, is the Emmy Lake Chronicles by A.J. Pierce. There's Dear Mrs. Bird and Yours Cheerfully, which I've already read. And then Mrs. Porter Calling, which is at the bottom of that stack right there because it was on my November TBR and I just didn't get to it. So that one would finish up that series. A series that's massive, that's a YA series, Christian fiction by Melanie Dickerson, is the Hagenheim series. I don't know if it's still called that, but there are quite a few in this series. And the last one I need to read is Peasant's Dream. I don't think I own that one, but I can probably find it on audio. Most of those I listen to on audio, but there were 11 of them and I only have one left. A little duology that's also Christian fiction is The Line Between by Tosca Lee, and the sequel to that is A Single Light, and I do have that on my shelves, so that would be just one more to finish that up, as well as the Aaron Falk series by Jane Harper. This is more mystery, set in Australia. The Dry and Force of Nature were fantastic. Well, The Dry was fantastic. Force of Nature I enjoyed okay. And I have Exiles on my shelves. Thank you to Lee, my Australian supplier. Australian book supplier, I should say. A Christian fiction trilogy that I started this year is the Skymar series by Pepper Basham. I read Authentically Izzy this year. And then there's Positively Penelope and Loyally Luke. I don't know if there will be more. I think there's some novellas for Christmas, but I don't have those on the list. But I have two left of that one. And then Wolf Hollow by Lauren Wolk has a sequel, My Own Lightning, which I do own. So that would be the last one in that series. The Amari series by B.B. Alston, I just have one left as of right now. Amari and the Night Brothers I read a couple years ago. Amari and the Great Game I read this year. And then Amari and the Despicable Wonders is the newest. It is out, but I don't own that one. But I would love to continue. Now we're on to the books where I have two left that will finish the series. The Greystone Secrets by Margaret Peterson Haddix, which has The Strangers, The Deceivers, and The Messengers. I've only read The Strangers, and I read it a number of years ago. The Phillida Bright Mystery Series by Colleen Cambridge starts with Murder at Mallowan Hall, which I enjoyed. It was a Patreon book club book last year. So I have A Trace of Poison and Murder by Invitation Only to read to catch up in that series. Another middle grade series, Seeds of America by Lori Halse Anderson, has Chains, Ashes, and Forge. I read Chains last year, but haven't touched it this year. A really fun series that one of my Patreon members introduced me to that I just really have enjoyed. The Miss Bunkle series by D.E. Stevenson. I read Miss Bunkle's book last year. Miss Bunkle marries this year. And then there's The Two Mrs. Abbotts and The Four Graces. I would really like to continue that series. It was so sweet. Very popular Christian fiction historical romance series that has been around everywhere this year is the Timeless series by Gabriel Meyer. I read When the Day Comes and In This Moment, the first two this year. There are two more, and I think a fifth might be coming or already came out. For a Lifetime and Across the Ages are the ones I need to read, and there's possibly a fifth one now too, or in the new year. Another mystery series, the Mr. Darcy and Miss Tilney series by Claudia Gray. The first one is Murder of Mr. Wickham, and it was a lot of fun. I read that this year. And then The Late Mrs. Willoughby and Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourgh are also in that series and out. So I'd like to read those. Emily Wilde series. I read the first one, Encyclopedia of Fairies, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And then there are two others. Well, Map of the Otherland is already out, and Compendium of Lost Tales is coming out in 2025. So I would have two left there. And now I believe we're on to the books, the series that I need three more. So we're like, it'll take a little bit more to finish these ones. But the first one is a middle grade Pages & Co. series by Anna James. I loved Tilly and the Book Wanderers, The Lost Fairy Tales, and The Map of Stories. I still need to read Book Smugglers, Treehouse Library, and The Last Book Wanderer. I may have read Book Smugglers. Now that I think about it, I may have read that fourth book, but I would have to double check. I just probably didn't mark it on here. Another mystery series is The Secret Book and Scone Society by Ellery Adams. I really enjoy this kind of cozy-ish, but with deeper storylines. The Secret Book and Scone Society is the first book, and then The Whispered Word is book 2, and Book of Candlelight. I have read those previously. Didn't touch it this year, but I have Ink and Shadows, Vanishing Type, and Paper Cuts still to read. Another mystery series, the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. I read Thursday Murder Club and Man Who Died Twice. Man Who Died Twice I did read this year. And then I have Bullet That Missed and Last Devil to Die. A series I started a long time ago is The Wingfeather Saga by Andrew Peterson. The first book is On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness. I read that a couple years ago. Then there are 3 more, North or Be Eaten, Monster in the Hollow, and Warden and the Wolf King. These are gorgeous books. I love the printed hardcovers of these. They're so cool. Middle grade fantasy series. A lot of fun. Speaking of middle grade fantasy series, there's the Prydain series by Lloyd Alexander. There are 5 books in this series, and I've only read 2. I read Book of 3 in The Black Cauldron. Then there's Castle of Lear, Terran Wanderer, and The High King left to read. Some of these middle grade series, I should just sit down and knock them out. I did start the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. There are 4+ books in the series. I put that little plus because there are novellas that go in between some of them. I'm not sure if I'm going to read all the novellas. We'll see. But I read the first book, Skyward. And then there's Starsight, Cytonic, and Defiant for the main novels that I would like to read. Finley Donovan is the next one on my list, and I am not sure I'm going to read all of these. The first one is Finley Donovan is Killing It, and I've also read the second one, Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. There's Jumps the Gun, Rolls the Dice, Digs Her Own Grave, and then a novella, a 3.5, Veronica Ruiz Breaks the Bank. I really thought the first one was funny, and the second one was just okay for me. So I haven't been very eager. This might become a DNF series. I'm going to leave it on the list for this year, and we'll decide by the end of 2025 if it's going to be a DNF series or not. As well as this Gregor series by Suzanne Collins, who wrote Hunger Games. And so I was very excited to learn that she also had a middle grade series called The Underland Chronicles. Gregor the Overlander is the first book. And then there are 3 more in that series, 4 more. So there's 5 altogether. And I just am not sure I feel super motivated to read those. Front Desk series by Kelly Yang is next on my list. There are also 5 books in this one, and I also have only read the first one, Front Desk. I didn't touch it this year. I do have the next one now, 3 Keys, on my shelf. So I feel like I should at least read the next one and then decide if I'm going to continue. I don't know. We'll see. A series that I am going to read completely is the Shady Hollow series by Juno Black. I love this book series. It takes place in this forest town, and all of the characters are woodland creatures, which is just so delightful to me. So I loved Shady Hollow, Cold Clay. Mirror Lake is probably my favorite so far. And then we have 2 novellas, Evergreen Chase and Phantom Pond. And then 2 other full-length novels, Twilight Falls and Summer's End. So I would like to read all of those. I should try to get to Evergreen Chase this month. It's Christmassy. It's a novella. It's on my Kindle. We'll see. The opposite of novella are these massive books. The Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. I read Way of Kings last year, and it was my favorite book of the year. I read Words of Radiance this year and also really loved it. So we've got a couple novellas. Edge Dancer, I think, comes next. And then Oathbringer's full length. And then Warbreaker is a novella. And then Rhythm of War. And then Dawnshard's a novella. I don't know where Warbreaker comes in, actually. Warbreaker, Edge Dancer, and Dawnshard are novellas. I forget where they all fit. Then Oathbringer, Rhythm of War, and then Wind of Truth. I need to add now too, because that just came out. Those are massive. They're like 1,000 pages. Yikes. I started a middle grade series this year that I really enjoyed. Premeditated Myrtle is the first one. It's the Myrtle Hardcastle series by Elizabeth C. Bunce. I would love to continue. Just a really smart middle grade age protagonist who helps solve a mystery. And I just would love to continue with her and see what else she gets into and gets up to and how she figures things out. She's a super smart little girl. Another middle grade series that I'm Part of me feels like I should continue it. Part of me isn't sure I want to. Part of me is pretty sure some of you are going to have some strong opinions about this one, but I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief this year by Rick Riordan, which is the first of his Olympians series. He has multiple different series, but this series is the Olympians. So there are 6 more in the series, 7 altogether, I believe. I don't know if I'm going to continue. I did really, really enjoy Percy Jackson. So I feel like I probably really would enjoy the others. I just don't feel that motivation to read them. So we'll give it a year. We'll see what happens. The next one I have on my list is the Seven Sisters series by Lucinda Riley. There are 8 altogether in this series. I've read 1 this year, so I've read 2 now altogether. So I have 6 to go. Yikes! That's a lot. We're into now this series that I have quite a few left to read. With Stormlight Archives, I have 6 left. Myrtle Hardcastle, I have 5 left. With Percy Jackson and the Olympians, I have 6 left. 6 left for Seven Sisters. Even more. The Three Pines series by Louise Penny, I have 8 left to read in this one. I haven't touched it in a year. So I really feel like this is going to be a priority. I would love to just catch up and be all caught up with at least one of these big series. We'll see. But yeah, I didn't read any Three Pines books this year. Same with Flavia de Luce series by Alan Bradley. I've only read 1 so far, The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie. And this is a series I might DNF because I have another historical mystery series, which is kind of what this one is. Except with Flavia de Luce, our protagonist is young, 11 or 12, but this is an adult mystery series, whereas Myrtle Hardcastle also has a middle grade protagonist, but that's a middle grade series. So they're very similar, but I feel like I'm more eager to read the Myrtle Hardcastle ones and not as much eager to read Flavia de Luce, but I'm going to leave it on the list for now. We'll see. Then we have the Maisie Dobbs series. This is the one that I have the most to read. There are 17 out, I think, altogether. I think it is a complete series. I don't think there are more coming as far as I know. And I have read 3. So I have 14 more to go. But I am very interested. This is a historical mystery series. It takes place from World War I to World War II, or like just after World War I, but through the course of the series, we'll go through World War II. And she starts out as a very novice detective at the very beginning. And so we're going to watch Maisie Dobbs is the main character. We're going to watch her grow and learn and get better and better at her job. I have enjoyed the 3 books I've read so far in that series. I'm definitely interested in continuing some more. So no more coming off the list at that point. And we are nearly done with my list. Sorry, this is going to be a long chatty video today. So let's do the 5 series where I'm waiting for the next one. And actually, I just purchased one of them yesterday. The Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. There are 9, 10, 11 books out so far. There will be 12 altogether because there are 2 like 8.5 and 9.5. I just purchased 9.5 yesterday. That is the newest one. I'm very eager to continue that. I've been buddy reading all of these with Amy from Amy's Bookish Life. I love reading them with her. We've had so much fun with this series. The next one I'm waiting for, the next one is Jessica Townsend's Nevermore series. This is a middle grade series as well. Another fantasy series. Nevermore, Wondersmith, and Hollowpox have come out and I've read them and they're wonderful. And I think we're finally getting Silverborn this year. I think we were supposed to get it last year. I don't even know what happened, but it never came out. It's been a long time, but I'm eager to read Silverborn. Finders Keepers Library by Annie Raines. I thought that was a standalone, but then I learned that it is possibly the first in a series. There's not another one out right now, but I would definitely read another one by Annie Raines. I enjoyed Finders Keepers Library. It was a very Hallmark movie-esque, but I'm here for that. The last 2 that I have that I'm waiting for are both mystery series. So we've got the Vera Wong series by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I loved Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. The first book, so much fun. Laughed out loud. Fantastic. And a new one is coming out in 2025, Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. I just feel like it's also going to be hilarious and heartwarming. Perfect combination. Finally, waiting for next is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. I enjoyed this group of elderly women solving mysteries, and the next one is coming out and it's called Kills Well with Others. I'm just eager for that to continue. And finally, here are series that I own quite a few in these series. I haven't touched them yet. So a middle grade series that I actually have read, but I read book 4, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, is part of the Logan's series by Mildred B. Taylor. I believe I purchased almost all of these. There are 10 altogether in the series. So I would like to read at least the ones up to Roll of Thunder this year, The Land, The Well, and Song of the Trees. Song of the Trees, I think, is a book of poetry. So they're all a little bit different. I'm excited to dive into that a little bit more. Another middle grade series, Dicey's Song, is book 2, and that is what won the Newbery Prize. So I need to start at the beginning and read Homecoming first, and then Dicey's Song, and then I'll decide if I'm going to continue the series after that, but there are 7 in that series altogether. Do I need to start another long series? No, but will I? Possibly. We'll see. I'm going backwards, I guess, from the longest to the shortest. Another series that I just learned about this year that is historical fantasy, I would call it, is the Memoirs of Lady Trent series by Marie Brennan. And the one that I heard about from our virtual reading retreat, someone brought this as their recommendation. It's The Natural History of Dragons, which is written as a fictional memoir. And it has diagrams and drawings of dragons in it. And there are 5 others in the series as well. So I would at least like to read that first one. I do have it on my shelves. Then Anthony Horowitz has 2 different series, and I'm interested in at least trying them. So the Hawthorne and Horowitz series has 5 books. The first one is The Word is Murder. So I would like to try that one. And then a trilogy, the Susan Ryland series. The first one is The Magpie Murders. So I would like to at least give those 2 a try to see if I get along with Horowitz's writing, his style, his tone. I don't know. I've never read him, but I have quite a few of those books on my shelves now, so I need to give them a go. We'll see. A couple other trilogies that I have. I think the rest that I have on here are trilogies. The first one is a romance trilogy, YA maybe romance, by Abby Jimenez, The Friend Zone, Happy Ever After Playlist, and Life's Too Short. I think I own all 3 on my shelves, so I would like to knock those all out this year. Robin Hobb has lots of trilogies, but the next one is the Live Ship trilogy, Live Ship Traders, or just the Live Ship trilogy. Ship of Magic is first, then Mad Ship, and then Ship of Destiny. I think I now have the first 2, Ship of Magic and Mad Ship. I would like to at least read the first one. Another chunk-a-monk fantasy. Ooh, yikes. And then another historical romance by Mimi Matthews. I have read Holiday by Gaslight by her and really enjoy her writing. And so this is The Bells of London, which starts with Siren of Sussex and Belle of Belgrave Square, and then Lily of Ludgate Hill. I own the first 2 of those. So quite a few series that I would like to make some progress in. Let's talk 2025. Okay, so I played around with this a little bit. I moved those 8 series that I want to start off of the top part and moved them down so that I can see right now I have 39 series that I have started that I'm either waiting for the next book to come out or I need to continue with the next book. 39. In the last few years, my reading goal in regards to series was to read 20 books that were a part of a series. And I did that pretty easily both of the last couple of years. So I want to make it a little bit more challenging for me this year. Right now, my total is 39. I have 11 that if I just read one more, I will complete the series. So I think I'm going to say that I want to get that number 39 down to 25, which means I would need to complete or DNF enough that it makes it 25. I would need to complete or DNF 14 series. I might as well make it 15 because it's a nice rounded number. So instead of having to read 20 books in series, this year I need to complete or DNF 15 series. That's a lot. That feels like a challenge, which is good. I want a challenge. And I want to make some good progress with some of those longer series. Oh my word. I've talked a lot in this video and I hope that it was entertaining for you. I'm so pleased that I got my series list in 2024 down from 66 to 47. That's amazing. If I could do that in a year, which is almost 20, I'm making it a little bit less this year. We're going to get my active series under 25. That's the goal. Can I do it? I don't know. I would love to hear, have you counted up all of your active series? Do you have a ton like I do? Or do you just have a few? Do you have 0? Do you binge? I know we've talked about series quite a bit on my channel off and on, but I would love to hear if you know the number of active series that you have going on right now. Share it down below. So let's chat in the comments below. I love talking to you down there about any of these books that you've seen, series that you want me to focus on. How many books do you have in series? All of that stuff. If you would just like to let me know that you were here and you watched all the way to the end, but you don't really have anything to add to the comments, find the little magnifying glass. A lot of my series are mysteries, so let's do a little magnifying glass, or the guy searching, or the happy face with the magnifying glass, whatever you want, something along those lines to represent all of these mysteries. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of my channel. I'm so thrilled to have you here, and I hope that you are having a wonderful December, and I'll talk to you in another video very soon. Bye.